Forge of Empires and getting started in 2023. The game has evolved, but the basics for the game are pretty much the same. So here's a little overview about my experience with the game that I have now played for 3.5 years, and just some of the tips what to look for, how to prepare for next stages, and just the general gameplay. So first of all, I strongly recommend that you do the tutorial, because it pretty much gives a good overview about what you should build and how different buildings contribute and what they actually do. So first I'm going to build Hunter. This is this is a hut. This is to gain population. The population buildings also give you coins, which are one of the two most important resources. You are going to have them throughout the game. So the coins are the first one, and the second one is going to be the supplies, which are basically like these things that are marked as tools, and you are going to produce them from different production buildings. So we also have the tech tree. This is to advance into different eras. So at the moment I'm in the Stone Age, and now if I'm going to contribute 3 forge points here, then I now am in the Bronze Age. So I get a little bit of goods, supplies and coins, a few medals and forge points. So going back to the city, I'm doing all of the tutorials, and then we'll go into details a little bit more. So I can also build decorations, which are important for happiness. Happiness itself at some point is important, but in the long run it doesn't really matter. It helps you produce supplies a little bit more efficiently, but at the same time you don't really need that if you manage your buildings and build in a reasonable way. So these are the story quests. I will get military units, and I will get diamonds. So diamonds are the premium currency of this game, and now I can collect 100 of them. I get a little bit more because I have another world or another city that I'm currently playing, and now in order to advance in this tutorial, I actually have to spend the 100 diamonds that I got. This is the worst way on how to spend it. So my strong recommendation is that use your diamonds only for expansions, because the buildings are going to be temporary, and there isn't much point in investing in these things. So now I have my basic things going, and I can now start building and researching. So research spears, this will give me access to the military units. So these are the spears. I will spend now 3 forge points, and I can now build military units. So this is the continent map. I can now explore it. So first you need a little bit of coins and time in order to progress to the next era. And now I have to attack here and then kill the defending units. So you can also infiltrate, which will reduce the defending army's health by 10%. So basically one of these bars. In some cases can be helpful, but it depends on how much coins you have. So the combat is turn-based. You are going to move and attack in turns, and this can be done manually, which I'm doing now, but later on you are going to use auto combat. So you attack, they retaliate, and then they attack and you retaliate, and the sequence in which you are going to attack depends on your unit type. So this is a light unit, So they are like second in a row. You also have fast units, artillery, and heavy units, and all these other things. We will go into detail a little bit later. I'm not going to advance to the next sector at the moment. I'm just going to do what the guests are suggesting. So I'm doing barracks for for my fighters, which is going to be okay, because then I'm going to get military units in order to expand in the continental map. So because I have a space where I can build, then it's usually a good thing, useful in order to have your sectors or your area as full as possible. Not with decorations, unless you need happiness, but usually you want to have a population available, and then you are going to want the production buildings. So I have now my first unit, and I'm going to also do the second one, advanced in the time. Okay, so because the requests, I'm going to do a memorial, and then the people should become enthusiastic, and it increases productivity by 20%, and it applies to the production buildings. So nothing else doesn't really change that much. So at first you probably don't need it that much. So before I continue, I will just go over the main things. So first of all, you have population. So this is required in order to build buildings. For example, a production building will require 28 people. Then also military buildings and goods buildings that will be unlocking later all require population. So you definitely need to have more. And one of the first things upgrading to a next era, you definitely want to replace your buildings. The buildings that provide population also produce coins. So this is the way on how you mainly will get coins. In the early game, you can also join guilds. I will now open... Oh, I have to go a little bit further because they probably don't want very low level players to join guilds and then just quit. So population comes from the houses, also with event buildings and some of the great buildings, but at first definitely houses. Then enthusiasm, happiness, it increases, but it doesn't actually affect that much. If they are okay or enthusiastic, then that's fine. If they're unhappy, then the production will decrease by 50%. And usually you do require these production building supplies because, well, you have to build stuff. Then you have forge points. These are not the premium currency, but these are the things that you require in order to advance in the tech tree and also to build great buildings. And the great buildings are going to be something that in the next few eras you are going to build quite a lot, and one of the main gimmicks or main things about the game itself. Then we have coins, which are, as I mentioned, the things that you will be using throughout all of the eras, and the same goes for supplies. The coins, usually you have about twice as much as you do supplies, so this is going to be throughout again all of the different ages. And you will need all of them. The good thing about supplies is that you can farm them. You can build hunters or other production buildings, and then you can choose the different times how much you want to produce. And the equation is that each of these production options will reduce the efficiency by 40%. So if you use 5-minute production, then you will gather 40% more if you would use just one 15-minute. So 3 times 5 minutes equals about 40% more than this one. And this again equals about 40% more than this one. But because I usually check the game every hour or 4 hours dependent, I don't use these small amounts of time to produce, but 1 hour is totally fine, and if you don't have that much time, 8 hours is also okay. But the option of actually like farm, I think it's a good one. And metals are going to be used for expansions. That's pretty much it. You can buy expansions with metals, and the expansions are one of the most important things that you can buy, because the expansions enable you to build whatever you want. So if you need more supplies, if you have an expansion, build stuff there, and then you will have more supplies. Or if you need coins, then you can like build population buildings there and gather more coins. So and finally, diamonds, as I mentioned, these are the premium currency, and you can buy like extra stuff, but you can also get the diamonds without actually buying them by just playing the game. So now, in order to make this a little bit more efficient city, I'm going to first build houses. So I'm going to build 3 of them. I should have more than enough. And then I can build either hunters, which are from Stone Age, but I do want to research pottery, because it unlocks the next era production building. So it says 50 in 1 hour instead of, let's open this up, instead of 34 in 1 hour. I also take into account the amount of space it takes. So this takes 9 squares and this takes 12 squares. Now the question is, which is one more efficient? I usually have an Excel table calculating which is the most efficient one, but the rule of thumb is that the next era buildings are going to be a little bit more efficient. So now I can also rearrange my city by just opening the build menu, and from up here I can sell stuff and rearrange. But I do want to put my pottery here, and I do want to I will let finish the timer, and then I will sell it, because I want to make a pottery street, because this will fit quite well. Each of the buildings will require roads. Usually they are, or the first ones are free, but the later ones you want, or you need to pay for them. And now, in order to make it a little bit more efficient, I can also move the city hall, but at the moment I don't want to, because I think the roads can be quite easily connected even without it. I'm going to put the house on stilts here, so now everything is filled, and then I can start production of 5 minutes. You can also use your keyboard. I will just wait until this one finishes. Just press 1 on your keyboard, and this will make the production of 5 minutes, and it goes up to 6. So just hold down 1, and then the 3 buildings are now producing supplies. Also try to have enough coins and supplies that you can build different things, because if you run out, then you have to wait for quite a long time. Then doing quests is a good way to gather some of the supplies a little bit. So I already have the pottery, and then buying forge points. So usually you will get 1 forge point an hour, but you can also spend money or coins on them. 200 coins for 1 forge point. At the moment it's quite expensive, because I spent like 20% of my whole coin supply. But later on I sometimes did it, but after 3.5 years of playing, the forge points cost about 100,000 coins, which is a really small amount, because I have about 10 billion of them. So it's just that because some quests require that you buy forge points, I try to, well, hold myself back. So let's buy a wheel so we can get our first expansion. Now the expansions, you can see that there is a huge amount of expansions that you can buy. I usually try to keep it in a square because the buildings are a little bit easier to arrange that way. So yeah, research wheel and construction is the next one. I will put my first expansion. It also costs a little bit of coins, but that's fine because now I have a little bit more space where I can build. I have some pottery. Then I do want to build. Actually, it seems that you can produce 7 of these supplies and 8 of these here, so there isn't much difference. So with the 50 minutes there is difference, and with 1 hour there is an even bigger difference. So because I don't want to farm, I'm just going to build 2 of these buildings. And this is what usually happens. You will run out of 1 resource. So in this case, I have run out of people. So this means that in order to build this stuff, I need to build houses. And stilt houses are definitely more efficient. And then I'm going to create my road system here. And then we will see how we are going to build our buildings. So one of the things to consider is that the houses only need to be connected by 1 piece of the road. So if I'm going to, yeah, this is a good example here, that my pottery has only this square that is connected with the road, and it still, well, produces everything. So this means that if you have these pockets, there would be a really good thing if I would put now a 4x4 building here. Now my people are pissed off because I don't have enough happiness, and for that I'm going to just build obelisks or trees in the spaces that I won't need. And I want to build the pottery here, so this is the reason why I'm not going to, well, the road is going to be just be connected to 1 of these places here. So again, I'm going to wait until these finish their production so that I can finish all of these at the same time. I'm going to build another stilt house, and this is actually very inefficient because it's a wasted space, because the roads have to connect to the city hall. So this means that the city hall doesn't actually need roads. So this is going to be much more efficient if I'm going to have it in this kind of way. Rearrange them so that the roads are going to be connected this kind of fashion. And now I can build my stilt houses here and probably sell the previous era ones. But it doesn't really matter that much at the moment, so I'm going to keep them until I run out of space. So if you run out of space, then it's a good idea to sell stuff, but at the moment I still have quite a lot of empty squares where I can build. And to make again my people happy, because I build additional houses, I'm going to build obelisks here. And because of the way my city is going to be, I'm also going to move all of these here, and also going to shift the road here. And then we probably have to do something with the original, or this road here, because actually I can take this away, and take this away and put it there, and then I can pretty much do whatever I want. Yeah, let it be in this kind of way. So I'm going to put it here, and then usually I want to make these kind of streets that you have a road going through it, and on both sides you're going to have buildings, and then the second half of the road should be in this kind of fashion, so that now the road should come down from here, so that all of the buildings are connected. But because this is a decoration, it doesn't require any kind of road, I'm going to skip it, and I'm going to put these obelisks here. So some people suggest that you don't build these decorations, because people are going to be polishing and, well, helping you out. Then there is a chance that instead of increasing your production of the pottery or your coin supply, they are going to polish these trees that will make the building 15% more efficient. Then it might be a wasted resource. But in this case, because we have auto help, it's going to be quite well, unimportant, because you're going to have 140 friends plus guildmates plus neighbors. So most of your buildings are going to be motivated even without trying that much. I'm also going to build another house so that I can have a little bit more people available, and then I can continue expanding with my production buildings. Now, because I pretty much ran out of coins, I can't build any more stilt houses. Oh, I ran out of supplies. So this means that I can place another pottery here. And now I have run out of coins. So as you can see, you will run out of one or the other in the long run. So I'm going to put these roads here, because I'm going to replace these large decorations with something different. And I'm going to build obelisks, because the flowers, which are a little bit more efficient, will take a lot more resources, and at the same time they only give 2 more happiness, which is relatively small. Also, the efficiency on how you place your roads is not critical, but it's good to have. For example, I didn't actually need this road here, so I can replace it with an obelisk. Or the second option would be that I'm actually going to put the house here, but because this will change the dynamics of this street, I have only 2x2 houses here. I want to keep it in this kind of way, because I probably want to place another pottery here. For example, let's put it this one here, and this will make it a little bit more organized. So now I have a little bit time to wait, because the pottery will finish in a while. We will look at the castle system. So this is an addition that was introduced last year, I think, and this will reward you for logging in. That isn't that much, but doing everyday things like fighting, doing negotiations, all of this stuff, you will get extra. So extra coins, extra attack, extra defense for your armies. So this is pretty much a reward system for being active throughout the game. So now I will start production again for all of the buildings, and I definitely would now like to join a guild or find some friends, because otherwise by helping your friends you will get quite a lot of coins, and this would actually be a huge help at the beginning of the game. Now what I will do is that I will go to the continental map, and I will try to attack and destroy these guys. So I can infiltrate them. Fortunately or unfortunately, I don't have the coins. I have to do it manually. So the army itself let's go back and look at our army. I now have 4 units, but you will get fast units, heavy, light, artillery, and ranged units. They all have their strengths and weaknesses, and at the beginning of the game it does affect. So you can see that this spear fighter will be better against fast units. So you can mix and match, and it does depend a little bit, but as you move on it doesn't really change the outcome. Now the military building, I can also unlock additional spots. So this means that instead of 2 units, I will have now 3 units that I can constantly replace. So this is one of the things that was a little bit strange to me at first, is that you have attached units and unattached units. So at the moment I have 2 units that are basically, I can replace them, and unattached units, which have been mentioned here in the parentheses, these units, if they die, they are gone. So usually you will have only 4 of these units that you can replace by building them in a barracks, and then you will have like another set of units that will come from different sources. For example, these I got from quests, but you will also get them from Alcatraz, which is one of the great buildings, and you will also get them from other like colonial buildings that are quite a long way in the future, but this is just like a heads up. So let's see what our sectors are. So in order to conquer this whole sector, I have now kill all of these things. Oh, I do have auto battle. So it's easier. I don't have to do it manually, and it will take a little bit less time. And now if I want to attack, my unattached unit is injured. I will take it out because it will take some time for it to heal, and killing or letting it be sacrificed is really unreasonable at the moment. So I'm just going to do an auto battle again, and yay, every one of my army actually survived. So now I have conquered this sector, and now my I also have a goods deposit. So this is like additional resource that if I'm going to produce dice, which is one of the things that I will unlock, I will get extra. So this is to make sure that people build different goods buildings. This pretty much means that I will build a dice works, and I will produce die, which is going to be one of the 5 resources from this era. Now I will also send my scout to the next sector, and it will take me 7 minutes until it reaches there. So this means that now I have about 5 minutes of doing nothing. So this is one of the things about the game, that if you are going to play it, you will have to take your time, which is actually awesome, because after 3 years I still have things that I have to do, and usually progressing to the next eras, it will take you about a month or so in order to progress through one of the eras. And sometimes you actually even don't want to progress through, because you want to build up your forces and resources before going forward. So this is a little bit of overview about how the game is played. My main recommendation would be that if you are in a server that has guilds that have been there for a little while, then low-level players are extremely welcome, because the later ages, many of the players are already there, and they are producing the later era goods and later era military units. And like late Middle Ages or industrial era or anything like that, this is like extremely useful, because guilds need these kind of resources. So there isn't actually much point in hurrying along and reaching the final era as fast as possible, because there are only 1 or 2 places that it actually matters, but having strong players in, as I said, Middle Ages or industrial era or the future era is going to be much more useful. So this means that you don't have to hurry in order to be a good player. Yeah, so that's a short overview about the game, and hopefully you got some ideas about how to play it or how to get started.